Matchup heading into round 3 of the day. And off we go into it. Again, the expectation was going to be that G3 push. Levon will be quick to make it, opening up that long diagonal for the bishop. And now the question is, how does Magnus Carlsen respond? And ultimately, how will Levon choose to break symmetry? Okay, Magnus breaks the symmetry right out the gate by pushing his pawn one step further.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong board. I apologize. I was looking at Vincent and Noterbeck. So the question is, will Magnus follow Vincent's first move of the game?
Yeah, when in doubt, copy Vincent. That's my motto. He seems to always know what's going on in freestyle chess. Great understanding. That was the move, pawn to b5, played in the other game. So the light squared bishops would leave the board very, very quickly. I think it's a 50-50 here. It's a coin toss. You either try and get the bishops off, or you just copy, and there we go. Magnus does take the former option.
I was about to question the amount of time spent on that first move, because the expectation had to be G3, it seemed like. And so still to spend about 40 seconds to decide how to respond. He ultimately does go for that b5 push. We quickly see the light squared bishops fall off the board. And now, of course, Levon will open up his second bishop on the long diagonal.
Will we see both bishops leave the board? That's the question. The downside there for black would be that if the dark squared bishops got exchanged, black's rook would be forced to move away, and castling right would be gone for the rest of the game. So instead, taking more space, Magnus Carlsen. We talked about Levon's situation. I think all of the players have the number 4.5 in their head. 4.5 from 7 points, you should be pretty safely in the top 4. So yeah, if he doesn't win this one, he will maximum get 4. He might face a playoff at the very best. But, I think a draw for Levon, okay, it's a step in the right direction, but of course he'll want more. And we see the first question mark of the game, the white rook coming out. Very logical, very nice attempt there to keep some imbalance, but maybe just losing a bit of time with the rook.
If you're Levon, you have to stop the bleeding, right? 0 out of 2. And every time that he has won against Magnus, it's been at a moment in a tournament where he's already found his rhythm, where he's found his flow. He's had a couple of wins. He's feeling confident. With 0-2, playing against Magnus, who's in hot form, I think it's absolutely crucial for Levon to not let things get out of control. Magnus improves his knight. He could have gone for d5, hitting that rook, which kind of came out very early on. You know, that's the downside when you bring your majors out so quickly. They can get attacked.
And that's what the computer wanted to see, and why you see the X appear on your screen here.
Yeah, I think I have to just show that very quickly. Just going back one move while Levon thinks about what to do next. It wasn't even just about this pawn push, which can maybe still come later, but once the white rook retreats, this move to continue, pawn to d4, and this kills 3 pieces in one move. Kills the white bishop, which is now staring against granite. It's stopping the white knight coming out. That knight actually has no squares now, no safe squares. The other knight also struggles to come out onto the third rank. Could maybe make an argument for bringing it out onto an outpost. Perhaps that's why Magnus didn't want to commit, give away the light squares. But I think, all things considered, this is a massive gain for black. So it's just about whether Levon now, with this tempo he's been given, somehow cut across that idea.
But this is where we go back to, again, talking about his position within the tournament and the risks that he's going to have to take, right? You know, while other players who might be in better contention at the top of the table, they can play a more stable game, maybe look for the draws and not take so many risks. So we could see a situation where Levon, you know, already in a poor situation, ends up making unideal moves, but just to create chances.
Exactly. It's just balancing, measuring that risk-reward ratio. And Levon, typically, he tightrope walks quite a lot on the risk line, but seems to come out in quite decent shape. But often, yeah, starting a tournament so toughly can really affect the confidence. So we'll see. Levon used the clock as a weapon when he was successful against Magnus in South Africa. Can he do the same again today? I'm expecting one of the knights to come out, perhaps.
And he does go for it, does develop the knight. Now Magnus will start expanding at the center of the board. d5 still looking very attractive. And the difference here to point out is if he was to proceed not only with d5 but d4, now Levon's knight is beautifully placed to actually jump to that c4 post in just one move. So a key difference in timing here.
And bringing ourselves out to the foreboard here, just to show how all 4 games have pretty quickly gone in different directions. While they all started, with that initial G3 push and the light squared bishops being traded off, you can see here, as you scan each of the boards, that none of them are symmetrical to each other.
Yeah, they've all gone their own way very, very early, and that's good news for us as spectators. We'll learn more about different pawn structures. Maybe the most symmetrical would be the games between Sindarov and Caruana and Niemann against Erigaisi. Same pawn structure, just different piece configuration. But yeah, this feels like one of those tense starting positions where nothing too bad can happen to either side. And it's just your kind of a quick access to the middle game. And who can outplay the other? We'll see.
Time for Levon Aronian, scoreless through 2 rounds and heading into the third. He's up against the world #1, and he has a small advantage, but 15 seconds to his name with 5-second increment to pilot this one to a victory.
Not long ago, Levon Aronian won a pawn, and he's now trying to create a pass pawn. There we go. That corner pawn there for white is a runner. It's going to sprint forward. Black's remaining pawns are all isolated as well. Black's bishop is a bit stuck. This looks like a beautiful endgame for Levon. He has to win this for his tournament. He just has to take down Magnus Carlsen now. And how many times have we said that? He's done it before. He can do it again.
Done it before, he could do it again. He might be doing a service as well to the rest of the field if he knocks Magnus down a peg, as well as putting himself back in position to survive the round robin.
Magnus is coming in with a threat, and then Levon just walk into a fork. He's about to lose a bishop.
He's blundered his bishop. His pawn is still super strong. We've talked about pawns on the 7th rank being worth pieces many times already today. Is that a pawn going to survive?
So sneaky about Magnus coming in with his knight, not only hitting that E2 pawn, and a tactic miss there.
And he immediately consolidates his position, right? Just like that, Levon comes in, tries to threaten both of the minor pieces. The dark squared bishop drops back to defend the knight. Now, of course, Levon looking to jump in and remove that defender.
But you could just go triple down on it. The knight's going to jump to c6, attacking the black bishop. The bishop slides over, and you actually do not survive with that pawn on a7. I think Magnus is going to start pushing this one.
Yep. Magnus
there it is.
Driver's seat. As that pawn disappears, Magnus's losing chances are minimal.
Losing chances minimal. That's never the situation I want to be in up against the world #1. A bit of maneuvering here on the left-hand side of the board. We're just stacking all of the minor pieces. Okay, again, Levon slides over to attack the bishop. The king will now try to get involved with the game. It's Levon's king that's a little bit closer to the center, but doesn't have a very clear pathway forward because of the position of the pawns. Okay, a trade of pawns here does allow Levon to get his king 1 step closer.
And the reason that Magnus isn't rushing with picking up that a7 pawn is because the white rook will slide over, and you'll be in this eternal pin on that a line.
What did he miss?
Oh, he's gone the wrong way.
He got the double question mark here. He was threatening going to collect that H pawn since he was cut off from the center of the board, but this just gives Magnus permission to involve his king.
He's going to kick that knight out of c6 and then win the pawn.
It's going to be a piece up for Magnus Carlsen. That was the only winning move, apparently, but also the most natural one.
Time. Oh, it was close. He keeps himself alive here, but this just speaks to the poor position that Levon is in. He's got 6 seconds and a losing position against Magnus Carlsen. How quickly this one slipped away.
Now, you can't flag yourself twice in 3 games. He has to keep pace on the clock.
Just too slow, Levon. That one blunder, a knight fork, a backward knight move. They say the hardest thing to spot in chess, and there was no comeback. Objectively, he was okay, but not anymore. That knight is being booted out, and the a7 pawn is falling. His pride and joy.
And that's it. The king is going to march up the board. King e4. You're up an entire piece. Pawns are defended. Magnus doesn't mess this up. He blocks it with the bishop first.
He didn't want to risk getting mated in the center of the board, but every move is winning at this point. The knight can hit the bishop. That pin is defended against, though. Piece is a piece. It's an extra bishop. At this level, should be enough for Magnus, but he's still locked in and focused.
And look at that beautiful compression at the center of the board. The king, the knights, the rook, and the pawn. Just everything holds itself. Every piece defends the other. Complete consolidation here by black. And now it's time to get the king up closer to that e2 pawn via c3 and d2.
Levon shaking his head. He knows it must be so hard to keep fighting with just any hope remaining, but It's almost done.
Yeah, just a near impossible position, right? And with your tournament position in the back of your mind through all of this, right? Understanding that now I'm going to be 0 points through 3 games with only 4 to go. We had said the magic number was 4.5. That's an impossibility, assuming a loss here for Levon to take. So he's going to need some other people to make some magic happen if he wants to find himself a tiebreaker at the end of the day.
Yep, he will need to win all of his remaining games and hope if this one doesn't go to plan and if he's not able to save it, Levon Aronian. Okay, he's got his pawn marching. We've seen some strong pawns, but the black bishop was ready to go around a check.
Maybe another check, driving the white king away.
More checks are possible.
It's just this f-pawn that Levon's banking his hope on, and Magnus is about to pick it up with knight jumping onto e3.
So nasty. Magnus has taken a while to find the best squares for his pieces, but they're coming around now. Once that pawn disappears, it really is game over. No more counterplay.
And the thing is, f6, it's a dark square, right? So the bishop can get to it, the knight can get to it, and you only have your king and rook, the 2 defenders there. So once that falls, I think Levon just resigns.
Yeah, it's the triple team. We saw it on the white A pawn earlier before it fell off. All of black's pieces combined to hit it. Can only be defended twice.
Oh, beautiful threat there. Can he go bishop takes pawn now?
Bishop takes pawn is a winning move. Rook takes, and Tanya, the fork. You already forked something on the e4 previously. Forked a king and bishop.
He goes for it. He finds it. Of course he does. It's Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah, and Levon realizes this time that the fork would come, so he just slides the king out of the way, but a pawn is dropped, and that's an even greater advantage here for Magnus Carlsen.
But watch out, there are some forks that white is threatening there. The bishop retreats, the knight is hanging, but great move from Magnus. He's going to go round and pin the knight against the king.
He actually calculated this all the way through, that even with this idea, he's got this resource of pinning and winning.
I think he missed it in advance, Magnus. He kind of shook his head in relief there.
It's like I have this resource. Slides over. No way to defend the knight.
No forks. And there we go. It's a handshake. Levon resigns. Magnus takes the win.
Yeah, disaster strikes here for Levon Aronian, our South Africa Grand Slam champion, up against Magnus Carlsen here, now sitting at 0 points to his name through 3 rounds. Magnus Carlsen will slide up to 2.5. That's the 4th result across our 4 boards. We had 2 decisive victories, 2 draws in this one, as we will relive some of the highs and lows of this round. It was Vincent Keimer and Norbek Abusatorov who piloted their game to a draw. Hans Niemann did get it done against Arjun Erigaisi in a pretty back-and-forth game between the 2 of them. He gets the win with the white pieces. Fabiano Caruana and Javakir Sindarov, they ended in a draw, half a point apiece.